Well, hello, everybody. Guess what? We've got a good one today. A good one today. I'm going to be opening your brains here, right? Get you thinking, because that's what God expected you to think. Because that's why He gave you a brain and a heart to discern. So let's get to it. Let's unravel how the Antichrist comes to be. Not who he is, how he comes to be, right? And we are going to use scripture here, right? Off the top of my head, I'm not going to look it up because, you know, I've done a lot of stuff today. So I'm going to, first of all, tell you before the flood, it talks about the angels who were deceived by Satan, who turned bad. These angels turned bad too. And they came down and entered the women. Not come onto the earth, they entered women, which means sex, by the way, right? How do you think they made bodies for themselves? Because the angels helped Jesus and God helped him. They was given certain powers to create. How do you think they created bodies themselves? Because when you look at possession, someone gets possessed, there's two consciousnesses in there. The person that was natural born, and then the demon that jumps in and conflicts with that other conscience and pushes it back. That's why you get foaming at the mouth, thrashing on the floor. You see what I'm saying? So, how can you stop that? How can you stop that conflict? Well, they're going to do the same again. And I'm going to tell you they do it. They're not going to do it literally themselves because God's took their power away from them. So they need some kind of way of jumping into a body or a born body. This is why we get these films showing like what's it called? We Arnold Schwarzenegger in End of Days. You know what I mean? Bring a baby in, do a ceremony on it, and the demon jumps in the baby. Right? Yeah? Because that's what horror movies about, right? So think about this. This is mental. Cloning. Cloning. You don't need Jesus's body or blood, right? That a lot of these theories are going around that they took Jesus's blood when he were found, the thing were found under Calvary. That scientist or archaeologist, and that he said it was Jesus's blood, right? Now that could be a possibility. I don't know, right? But what I'm saying is, anybody will do as long as it doesn't have a consciousness in there. This is why you get the other one with Arnold Schwarzenegger in another one where he dies and he gets cloned. I can't remember what film it is, right? And you have to transfer the memories, right? So you got an empty shell, right? This empty shell has a ceremony performed on it, and then Satan, because the ceremony has to be precise to call the demon will see the body, or Satan, that is, because he's going to be the Antichrist, and he's going to jump in that body, right? Now, you get all these things in the Bible that talk about the Antichrist, number of the beast. It does say he's a man, right? A physical person, a man, right? So how can that be? Because if a baby's born, it's natural born, God gives the soul into that. It becomes a living soul, right? It involves God. So therefore, when you go into the Bible and you look at when the disciples and Jesus walked round, the children were throwing themselves into the fire. They were foaming at the mouth. They were saying, "We know you're the Son of the living God." And it weren't the person who was naturally born in that body saying that. It was the demon. But notice there was a conflict. This is why when you get demon-possessed people, they cut themselves. Because they wouldn't do that normally. right? The born consciousness that was in there originally has been pushed back, and then the demon takes over. This is why they can't control themselves sometimes, but they get an ability very strong, right? Very, very strong, right? Jesus left the example at the them graves when the guy with the fetters, the chains, and said, "Have you come to persecute us before the appointed time?" That weren't the original person who's in there. The original person in there has been shoved backwards into the background. It's the conscience is still there. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But there's two consciousnesses in there. This is why before the flood they made bodies for themselves, right? Because they didn't know at that time demons and the Satan and the demons. They didn't know at that time they could possess bodies. All they knew is how to create something. You know what I mean? Because they were given the ability, but that ability got took away. That ability got took away, so they can still influence people. They can still have somebody kill you, you know, because they can influence you. Them, that is, to kill you. What I'm saying is that when it comes to natural born and not natural born, is two totally different things. Because one's gifted by God, the other one is run by man, by genetically modifying and you know, cloning and stuff. Right? Doesn't have God's stamp on it. What they're doing is they're doing an inversion like Satan has in this world. Concrete, roads, plains. That weren't the original plan. The original plan were to be a Garden of Eden, right? Which we will go back to eventually, right? Because God will make sure, because He'll get rid of corruption. But what I'm trying to say is that the bodies, when it comes to possession, understand possession, right? It weren't hard for me to understand. Why are these people foaming at the mouth? Why are they running up the wall and stuff, and you know, thriving on the floor and cussing at you and stuff like that? Well, it's because it's not the original person in there. Well, it is. The original person's in there. It's just been pushed back, and the demon takes over, becomes more dominant. Right? This is why you get sometimes they come in and out of possession. The demon's still there. It's just the consciousness of the original person comes back forward, you know what I mean, and pushes the demon away, but then the demon's still there controlling, you know what I mean? And then when it needs to, when it comes to something important, it just comes to the fore again. It pushes the original conscience from God back, the person who was born in that body back, and they take control then. You know what I mean? So understand that when it comes to the Antichrist, it can't be a person who was natural born. It can't be, because there'll be a conflict. There'll be a conflict, and the Antichrist won't be able to do his job. He won't be clear minded because he's got another conscience behind him screaming at him, "Let me out, let me out." You know what I mean? I.e., depossess my body, please. You see where I'm coming from? You see what I'm saying? When you understand how the spirit world works, and I've never been a devil worshipper, but I understand it because the people on the good side understand it, but the bad people on the bad side understand it too, right? They understand it too, but they're using it for nefarious reasons, nefarious, bad, right? So when it comes to the Antichrist, it has to be somebody that's I think it's going to be a clone, and there's a lot of rumors going around. Oh, gee, it's going to be a lookalike of Jesus. Well, how do you know it's going to be a lookalike of Jesus? You tell me how. Well, that archaeologist got the blood, and you know he went to the Jewish scientists, and they were shocked because it was alive after like 2,000 years. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, what? What? Do you know anything about the Bible? Go back to the flood. Why do you think the angels, the bad angels, jumped back out of the bodies when the flood come, but yet the Nephilim couldn't because they were natural born in a way, because it was an imperfect mother. and an angelic coming down and banging on one. You know what I mean? So it's still kind of natural born, but it's a perversion. It's an abhorrent. It's something disgusting to God because it's unnatural, right? This is why the demons, the Nephilim in the flood, couldn't jump out the bodies, not like the angels could, because they created bodies, and there were no consciousnesses in them bodies, right? No conscience, awareness, because there were nothing. It weren't natural born. They created them and then jumped in them, and then when they went to have sex with the women, then they passed on their seed, right? Well, hang on. If there's no life in that body originally, before you jump in it, the sperm is not natural, right? Because there's no conscience. Notice when God made Adam, he breathed breath into his nostrils and he became a living soul. That means God must have put a soul in there. He must have put a soul in there, right? To start with. And then from that point onwards, any living thing from humans, children, would have an individual soul. You know what I mean? So, in order, and imagine God, when the flood come, the angels stripped the bodies off themselves like shells and then went back to heaven, right? And left, and this is how uncaring they are. This is how uncaring evil they are. Right? They left their own babbies, their own giant babbies on the earth, right? To suffer and die, right? No, they were still evil, abomination. I don't care. They're good. They died, right? But what I'm saying is the fact that the Nephilim, because they were kind of like natural born in a way, but abhorrent and abomination, they couldn't strip them bodies because they're fixed in place in that body. They can't leave the body unless they die, right? Unless they actually physically die. The angel is just like a zip, just zip themselves. I'm not saying it were a zip. I'm just saying that they came out of the bodies. I don't know how, but they fled the body shells and they flumped on the floor. No consciousness in that body, not whatsoever, because they were none in the first place. When the demons create the bodies for themselves, right? So when it comes to the Antichrist, it can't be natural born because of the natural rule of a conscious being in there in the first place. You have two consciousnesses in there, there's going to be a conflict. Believe me, there's going to be a serious conflict, right? So how's the Antichrist going to come? Or how's he going to be? Oh, excuse me, I've just had my dinner. Burgers, prawns, and something else I can't remember. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Yeah. When it comes to the Antichrist can't be a natural born person. This is why I think they got into cloning and the CERN, with the Hadron Collider, so they can open portals for the devil to come through, so they can possess that particular body that they've made themselves through cloning. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be. I mean, this thing about Jesus coming back as a clone, like what a lot of rubbish. What a lot of crap. I'm sorry, that's the time I'm gonna swear. But seriously, it's gonna be a clone. It's gonna be a clone. Or I mean, cloning's been around for decades now. Decades, way over 40 years. I mean, we heard of the Germans doing it in the 1940s, doing cloning. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the person is definitely going to be in the 30s, easy round about now anyway. He could be a bit older than that. He could be, 60, so he'd be in his, 80s? Could be in his 80s. I don't think he'll be a person in his 80s, though, really, to be honest. I think it's going to be a young, vibrant person, same age as Jesus, about 30-ish. You know what I mean? Roughly, give or take a couple of years or 5 years or so. I mean, a person could have been born in 2000. He'll be in his 20s. If that's the case, you know what I mean? Coming up to his 30s. I mean, that sounds a bit. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. If we have the Agenda 2030 and then the Great Tribulation not long far off that comes into play, that sounds a bit. Wait on. Yeah. I never thought of that. So if we were born in the 2000s, say 2000. Let's just take 2000 as an example. It'd be 26 years old, coming up to 30. Hmm? Jesus didn't start his ministry until roughly about 30ish. Because you were 33 and a half. And his ministry was three and a half years, something like that. That's getting me thinking. That's well getting me thinking. I'm gonna have to do a bit more research on this, I think. Anyway, I just went into thought then for some reason. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's just I forgot I was doing a live stream and I was like, let me think a minute. Anyway, I'd like to know your thoughts. Do you think the Antichrist is going to be a clone? So therefore a demon can jump in because of two consciousness if it were natural born baby. Naturally. Because all I know is that every time I've heard of people who are possessed, they're thriving on the floor, they're foaming, they're shouting, they're screaming. I mean, look at Constantine. You know when that girl was on the bed, Constantine, the film, and the mirror's above her, and she screams, "Help me!" And then the demon comes back out again. You see what I'm saying? That like two consciousnesses in there. You know what I mean? One being suppressed, the natural born one being suppressed, and then got took over by a demon entity. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, crazy thinking. But this is what I've been pondering on loads. How's he going to be? Because I'm not praising him. Don't get me wrong. I can't stand the fucker. Whoever's going to come, the Antichrist. I'm not going to stand for it because at the end of the day, I know who the true God is, right? Yahweh, right? And his son Yeshua. So, and then you got the Holy Spirit. So I know, right? But at the end of the day, it still gets you to think. It gets you to open your mind about to protect yourself about the demon world. You know what I mean? And what they're up to. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I just thought I'd come on here and just talk about a wild one. Who is the Antichrist? Well, I won't say who he is. How's he come to be? How is he going to come to be? Because it doesn't say how he's going to come to be. It just says he turns up. Turns up. And he's a diplomat as well. He's a diplomat, right? Because it talks about him bringing all the world together and solving certain problems and stuff. So he's a diplomat, right? Remember that. He's a diplomat too. He's got diplomatic skills, right? That's what I mean. Diplomatic skills. He's not a diplomat. He's got diplomatic skills. Because to have diplomatic skills, you don't need to be a diplomat, right? You can still have them skills, right? And know how to manipulate people, right? And he'll go, "Oh no, I don't want the praise. No, I just want to bring you people together." Like, you know, with them devil eyes, where he's like head down a little bit, where he's like looking and going, you know what I mean? Looking at him like an evil little shit. I don't know. Anyway, I just thought I'd give you something to think about. Think about it. Natural born, possession. Think about it. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Take care, and may God bless you.